What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome here today to another reaction to NBA trade video. We haven't done one of these in a minute. Now, if I scroll back on the community tab, you can see that we've done this with James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Paul, Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal, and etc. players in the past. But recently, there's been some weird talks on Marvin Bagley's dad or brother or whatever, I think it was his dad, requesting a trade from the Kings. Now, he's been bad this year, and this is his third year in the NBA, and he has proven pretty much nothing that he's living up to the number 2 pick. Now, this is recorded on the night of January 7th, and I know he had a pretty good game against the Chicago Bulls. Wow, I didn't even know it was really that close of a game, that it was a 4-point lead. Shout out to Kobe White and Zach LaVine in this game. But yeah, I know Marvin Bagley had a pretty good stat line. He knocked down 3 threes, he got 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, 3 steals. Like, this box score, like, I didn't watch the game, I'm not going to sit here and act like I did. It looks pretty good in 29 minutes, but this could arguably be the best game of his career. I don't know if it truly is, but it definitely could be. But, yeah, so there's been some talks from his dad or from his camp that he wants out of Sacramento. So we are going to be reacting to some trades that I asked from you guys on my community tab that what maybe could happen from the number 2 overall pick. Now, his value is pretty low because he hasn't proved much that he could stay on the floor healthy. He's been hurt throughout his career, and he hasn't really proved a lot when he's on the floor that he's the number 2 overall pick. I thought he was really good at Duke, and I thought he was like the Memphis Grizzlies savior back in 2018. And the Kings messed up. They could have taken a plethora of guys over Marvin Bagley at 2, like Luka Doncic, obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. They could have taken Trae Young, Colin Sexton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, multiple guys at number 2. Now, yeah, so we're going to be reacting to some trades today. We can start off and get right into this. So, Lachlan Georgievsky, Wolves get Marvin Bagley. Okay, you're getting the guy next to Karl Anthony Towns. For Culver and Bolmaro, I feel like Culver for Bagley is an interesting idea with maybe, I don't know, like a heavily protected pick. I would even possibly move a Koji, and then, Culver for Bagley. I don't know. I wouldn't give up Bolmaro. Because he could be a better NBA player than Marvin Bagley. So, but it's an interesting offer, definitely. JL12, Raptors get Marvin Bagley, Kings get Terrence Davis, Alex Len in 2 seconds. If I'm the Raptors, I might pull the trigger on that. I feel like Marvin Bagley is a very buy low option. He hasn't been good on the defensive side in his career, though, but he could just be in need of a new fit, a new system, a new change of scenery. Daniel Marable says the Kings receive Romeo Langford, Daniel Tice, and the taxpayer exception, traded player exception, for Marvin Bagley. Boy, I would love this for Boston. You're not even playing Romeo Langford that much, and I guess Daniel Tice does hurt giving up, but you do have Tristan Thompson. But I would so take the flyer on Marvin Bagley. You're going to put him with Brad Stevens and that development staff? Hell yeah, I would do that. It's just like the Kings, I feel like you took him number 2 over arguably a future MVP Luka Doncic. You would want a good return for him, right? Like, you wouldn't want at least something, like maybe Leandro Bolmaro, is that something? Maybe Terrence Davis, is that something? Is Romeo Langford that something? I don't know. Cavs receive Marvin Bagley. Kings receive Kevin Porter Jr., so he could be the Kevin Love replacement down the line. I mean, if I'm the Kings, I'm doing this. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is definitely worth it as a player, but you have the off-the-court issues. I still wouldn't do that, I think. But I would definitely do that if I were Sacramento. Pistons receive Marvin Bagley. Kings receive Shrek. Okay. Alright, that potato. Tower H, Jazz receive Bagley. Kings receive Derek Favors in 2 seconds. This gives the Jazz a fast-paced center and gives the Kings a draft pick. So you're getting 2 seconds for the number 2 overall pick. Honestly, with that offer, it's not worth giving up on him. You might as well try to salvage his value. Because, like, I don't know. Marvin Bagley still has some potential. He might need to be centered around, like, a good rim-protecting center. Because he can space the floor a little bit. I don't know. It's so weird figuring out a Marvin Bagley trade, right? Patrick Wolvey says, I mean, maybe they can get like $30. AJ saying the Raptors receive Bagley, Kings receive Powell Davis and a first-round pick. That's a lot for Marvin Bagley. You would have to be very sure on that he can live up to the number 2 hype. And is he a fit with Pascal Siakam? I don't know. Maybe he is a 5. Maybe. Marvin Bagley for Neil Aquino, Amari Spellman in 2 seconds. Sign me up, but I would enjoy that trade if the Knicks didn't draft Obi Toppin, but they did. And the Kings, maybe you could use Neil Aquino. I don't know. But if I was a Knicks fan, I would want that. Or I am a Knicks fan, but I would probably want that. But it'd be weird having Bagley, Randall, and Obi Toppin. So maybe the Knicks wouldn't want to do that. Felicio for Bagley, Fox and Hield. Okay, Brett D. Jordan for Rand. Celtics receive Bagley. Kings receive Romeo Langford in the first round pick. Maybe that's more justifiable, getting a first round pick and Romeo Langford for Marvin Bagley. Definitely. I wouldn't ask for, like, I doubt the Celtics would want to give up Aaron Nesmith. They'd probably be willing to give up Romeo Langford a little bit more. So, yeah, like the Celtics first round pick this year in Langford, I'd probably do that for Marvin Bagley. Julius Randle for Marvin Bagley. To be honest, I wouldn't be opposed. I know Julius Randle is playing like an all-star this year, and he's leading the Knicks to a 5-3 record at the moment I'm recording this. But I'm still not a Julius Randle believer, just because the dude doesn't play defense all that well, and he doesn't hustle back. I know he's good on the offensive end, but I would like a guy that actually cares about both sides of the floor. He really doesn't sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Raptors get Bagley. So a lot of Raptors and Celtics here. Okay. Raptors get Bagley. Kings get Powell and a 2021 lottery protected first and 2 seconds. I think if I'm the Kings, I would prefer Terrence Davis, and I would do that. Suns receive Bagley. Kings receive Jalen Smith, Javon Carter in a second. A Jalen Smith for Marvin Bagley swap is an interesting idea that I think both teams could probably think about. Bagley to the Timberwolves for Culver, Layman, and Naz Reid. This provides depth to the Kings and gives them a solid defensive wing in Culver, who can develop and play off of Fox. Gives the Wolves a star. That word is thrown out way too loosely for calling Marvin Bagley a star who can hold it down until Cat comes back and play next to him with rebounding and paid defense. I mean, I would do this trade if I were Minnesota, and if the Kings were willing to do it, I would pull the trigger. I think Bagley has more potential still than Jarrett Culver. Heat trade Kelly Olynyk, Kendrick Nunn, 2025 first and a 2022 second. I think, well, I mean, you are getting Bielitsa in this, which would be huge for the Heat, especially for spacing off the bench. But giving up Nunn and a first-round pick for Bagley seems like a lot. Lakers receive... Okay. Let's see. Any more real ones? Straight up Carter Jr. for Bagley. I don't think the Bulls would do that. Mavs get Marvin Bagley. Kings get Tyler Bay, Tyrell Terry. They're 2 second-round picks who really haven't been playing all that much. Dorian Finney-Smith and 2 second-round picks. Honestly, not a terrible offer. Not a terrible offer indeed. Marvin Bagley and maybe a second for Eric Pascal. If I'm the Warriors, I would maybe take Marvin Bagley with the chance that he hits his ceiling over having Eric Pascal. Heat receive a 2022 top 10 protected first and Bagley for Nunn, 2 seconds to Paula. I doubt the Kings do that. Alex Marquez says the Kings won't trade him. His value has tanked tremendously. The guy hasn't played basketball in over a year. Give him some time to develop. Honestly, I'm kind of with you. At this point, you'd be selling literally pennies on the dollar for Marvin Bagley. You took him second overall over Luka Doncic and a bunch of other good guys. So I agree not pulling the trigger on a trade right now and kind of keeping him. That is my opinion on him. Seeing a lot of, we saw a lot of Celtics trades, Raptors trades, Heat trades, a couple Warriors. Honestly, this one is kind of interesting from C. Broderick. Blake Griffin and a lottery protected first and 2 seconds for Marvin Bagley. Okay. If the Kings are trying to be good, which they are, Blake Griffin for Marvin Bagley, why not? The Pistons can kind of go full tank, get off that cap space, and the Kings can try to compete with Blake Griffin, De'Aaron Fox, and Buddy Hield. I kind of like it. You know what? Let's do it. Let's get weird with it. That is my favorite trade here. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Not a lot of trades here because this obviously might not happen, but we'll see if it does. He could end up getting traded. I wouldn't honestly mind my Knicks pulling that, but after drafting Obi Toppin and having Julius Randle, probably not the decision you want to make. But hey, it would be kind of cool if maybe the Kings traded for him, or the Celtics, or the Raptors, and maybe give him a new scenery, maybe with a better fit, and we could see if he can live up to that number 2 pick hype, because he's been kind of irrelevant so far in his career. And I hate that word irrelevant, but he kind of has been, because he hasn't been able to stay on the floor. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy the video, and you kind of want, maybe you still like these trade videos. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.